And welcome to CBN NewsWatch for this Friday, September 24th, 2021. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, the Women's Protection Act is expected to be voted on today. The Heritage Foundation says it may be dangerous to women and unborn children. Plus, social media and sex trafficking. Media giants like Facebook face backlash for not doing enough to prevent it.
These businesses are sex slavery. These businesses are trafficking. Facebook has said we're going to address the issue. They've never really addressed it.
An entertainment expert joins us for insight and the 7 species. It's the superfoods in the Bible, and it's observed during the Jewish time of Sukkot.
We're doing a recipe inspired by the 7 species, the 7 foods that are superfoods of the Bible and of the land of Israel.
We go on a cooking course in Jerusalem using those 7 superfoods. All this and more are coming up next.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
And we begin this half hour with this. The Women's Protection Health Act is up for a vote today. A new report by the Heritage Foundation warns it's a dangerous situation for pro-life efforts of any kind, past and present. Our Mark Martin spoke with Melanie Israel, Research Associate for the DeVos Center of Religion and Civil Society at the Heritage Foundation, about why she considers the bill so dangerous for women and unborn children.
Tell us, what is your greatest concern about this legislation?
The scope, simply how broad this legislation is. It's really meant to roll back existing policies, many of which have been on the books for many years, litigated all the way to the Supreme Court and deemed constitutional. But it's also about preventing states and the federal government from enacting future pro-life policies. Really, the goal of this bill is to enshrine unfettered abortion access into federal law across the country and take away the American people's ability to have a say at all.
What could it do to the pro-life movement? You've touched on that, but elaborate a little bit more.
Sure. So ever since Roe v. Wade in 1973, the pro-life movement has been very effective at enacting pro-life policies at the state level all across this country. In fact, it's been roughly 1,300 life-affirming laws since 1973. And the Women's Health Protection Act is seeking to undo that progress and prevent any future progress from being made.
You also say it would threaten laws that already protect unborn children from being targeted for their gender, race, or health issues. Can you elaborate on that?
Exactly. So that's one of the unfortunate things that would happen under this bill. States would not be able to protect children from sex-selective abortions. They wouldn't be able to protect children from abortion if they were diagnosed with something like Down syndrome when they're still in the womb. And it would also roll back policies like ultrasound requirements that give women the opportunity to see their unborn child in the womb as they're making this incredibly heavy decision. And it would also do away with things like reflection periods that give women the time that they need to think about this huge decision. And so the ramifications would just be so vast. Again, I just have to underscore how broad in scope this bill is.
What kind of slippery slope could happen here?
Well, the bill is pretty specific in some of the policies that it would disallow, but then it also raises the question of what kind of litigation could we see. It specifically exempts itself from things like the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which of course provides people recourse if they feel that their religious freedom has been violated. This bill exempts itself from the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. And it also opens the door to potentially litigation about policies that disentangle tax dollars from the abortion industry. And so the bill is very specific in some of the policies that it would disallow, but it also opens the door wide open to litigation to go after many other life-affirming policies as well.
Melanie, what do you think will happen with the bill? Does it have a chance in both the House and the Senate?
Well, in the House, assuming there's a party line vote, it would presumably pass. Now, it remains to be seen exactly what will happen with that and whether or not there will be anybody crossing the aisle one way or the other. In the Senate, of course, there's still the 60-vote filibuster threshold, and the bill right now only has 48 co-sponsors, so presumably it would not meet that threshold. But again, we know that many on the left are calling to do away with the filibuster, and so this is very much something that we all need to be concerned about.
Are pro-life groups working to fight this? And if so, and also, too, how can folks, at home that are watching this get involved if they want to?
It's a great question. Pro-life groups here in D.C. are really pounding the pavement just to make sure that people both on and off the Hill understand how radical of a bill this really is and how dangerous it would be, not just to unborn children, but also to women's health and safety, to religious freedom and conscience rights. I also always like to underscore for everybody at home that the work of the pro-life movement is happening with laws, but it's also happening at home in our communities, right in our backyard. And no matter what is going on Capitol Hill, there is always a way to directly impact somebody's life in your community, whether that's assisting your local pregnancy resource center, assisting people who are pursuing adoption. There's so much that we can all be doing in our everyday lives to help promote a culture of life.
Fire at a Kroger grocery store in a Tennessee suburb. It happened on Thursday afternoon. Police say the gunman shot 13 people and himself, and 12 of the victims were taken to area hospitals, some with serious injuries. One person was killed. Jason Lusk, a bystander, describes exactly what he heard.
Gunfire was so close, it sounded like it was directly over my head. I could feel the concussion from the gunfire.
The identities of the shooter and the victims have not yet been released. The battle over Pfizer booster shots is finally done. The FDA has given the green light for people older than 65 to get a third dose at least 6 months after their last shot. The news comes after weeks of red tape and even criticism from world leaders about boosters. Our Brody Carter has the latest in the fight against COVID-19.
Pfizer's booster shot passed the final panel of independent advisors with the CDC in a 9-6 vote. This after the FDA's panel said last week the data was not strong enough to advocate an extra shot. But CDC Director Rochelle Walensky reversed one recommendation by the advisors and also endorsed the booster for frontline workers.
So the ayes have it, and this recommendation is adopted.
A vote of confidence from the CDC's independent panel recommends boosters for people over 65. Nursing home residents 50 years and up with underlying health problems, and people over the age of 18 if they have medical problems.
You're tasked with difficult decisions, weighing the risks and benefits, extrapolating from sometimes the wealth and sometimes the paucity of data available.
The panel stopped shy of giving the go-ahead for frontline workers, but CDC Director Rochelle Walensky broadened access to boosters by going against the panel's recommendation and giving the green light to boosters for healthcare workers, teachers, and other workers at risk, a big boost for the president's vaccination campaign.
That's why I've made getting COVID under control my top priority from my first day as president.
Despite the White House's full-court press for boosters, Thursday's decision is a significant scale back from the administration's initial plan to dispense Pfizer boosters to everyone, even teens 16 and up.
We have plenty of supply of all three vaccines for boosters, pending, obviously, the FDA and the CDC recommendations.
And while boosters for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson wait their turn for approval, hospitals around the country continue to deal with the Delta variant, which is hitting the unvaccinated at far higher rates.
We have ICU patients outside of our intensive care unit in other areas of our hospital.
The booster shot decision was founded on trial data from Israel, where a third shot is already being given, despite objections from the World Health Organization purporting poor countries don't have enough for their first dose. Brody Carter, CBN News.
Coming up, the latest concerns about social media monitoring when it comes to drug cartels and human trafficking. We'll be right back. Facebook is making headlines these days, accused of not doing enough to shut down human trafficking on its site. Our Mark Martin is back with that story and some time with Dr. Ted Baer, an entertainment critic.
First of all, what did this investigation discover when it comes to human trafficking, drug cartels, and Facebook? How big is this problem on social media?
Well, the problem is gigantic, and I was one of the founding board members of the National Coalition on Sexual Exploitation, and, it's been a bigger and bigger problem, especially when we talk about, the crackdown on conservative sites or Christian sites. Because they say on Facebook that the cost of doing business in Africa and the Middle East is allowing all these different businesses to use it. These businesses are sex slavery. These businesses are trafficking. One of the reports in the Wall Street Journal is about a woman from Africa who was brought to, the Saudi Arabian area, and she became a slave. And she tried to escape, and she had signed a contract that she couldn't. So this is common. And when we look back at, the horrors of slavery, well, anybody will tell you who's concerned about this issue that there's more slavery today than there's ever been in terms of sex slavery, et cetera. So these cartels are using Facebook. Facebook has said we're going to address the issue. They've never really addressed it. It's Facebook's own employees that have brought this to people's attention, and yet they're, denying other people from using Facebook. It's a very strange situation.
You have another report on your site about the Babylon Bee getting involved in holding high-tech companies to protect social media users. What's that all about?
Well, that's the other side of the coin. The other side of the coin is, we actually, I think our video on Facebook went up 416% last year. And so we've had a good run with them. But a lot of people, a lot of my friends who have wonderful ministries have been excluded from Facebook, and for absolutely no reason at all. Of course, some of them have been flagged by Facebook because they're pro-life. Which most of us are pro-life. We believe in babies. I've got 15 grandchildren. I'm very concerned that they have a good life. And for other issues that are common to the faith of Christians. So these groups have been excluded. Meanwhile, so the Governor DeSantis of Florida and Babylon Bee and many other people, I signed one of the petitions, have petitioned to open this up so they stop discriminating against conservative groups and especially against Christian groups. And I hope they don't ever discriminate against CBN.
Well, switching gears now, Dr. Baird, to a movie review of one releasing this weekend called The Starling. What's that about?
Well, The Starling is about a couple who's looking forward to having a baby. Now, there's a pro-life issue. The director we've interviewed him has a very clear faith. But the starling, the baby dies, is stillborn, so the couple just disintegrates. The man is so depressed that he tries to commit suicide. He's now in care in a home for his situation. His wife is struggling to make things work. Their whole marriage is disintegrating. And how do they get together again? So there's positive references to faith in church. And I teach a class. I was head of a department at Berkeley and head of a department at City University of New York. I teach a class in filmmaking, and I got to tell you that a lot of the Christians who come in make the same error. They think that you've got to have foul language, which is probably the leading problem with the film, and you have to address subjects in a very difficult way. There's a lot of movies that were very clean, including It's a Wonderful Life, that actually is a movie about suicide, but it never descends into that area. So The Starling is a good movie. It's made with a strong Christian heart to it. Unfortunately, it shows the church well. Unfortunately, they decided to pepper it. So we had to give it a -2, which is our extreme caution to say a lot of people should not watch it. And that's just a question of learning how to do movies in a better way. I could give you a whole set of movies that address the same issues without ever stooping to conquer. And I teach that in the class. I teach you make more money. In fact, the more foul language you put in a movie, the less money you make. The more, violence you put in a movie, the less money you make. And we do those numbers every year. We look at 100% of the films that open in 750 theaters or more. We look at almost all the major streaming films. And if you look at the top streaming films last year, none of them contained foul language. And only 80% didn't have any sexual material. I mean, it's amazing. You look at the numbers, and the numbers say that if you want to succeed on social media, and that's not because of what we do, that's because the average person in America who's not located in New York or Los Angeles wants to see the good, the true, and the beautiful, and wants to see films that do represent problems, but they represent them in a positive way. I'll tell you, The Name of the Father, the Kendrick Brothers film that's out right now, represents some of those problems in a very positive way and is a wonderful movie.
All right, Dr. Ted Baer of MovieGuide.org. Thank you so much for your time today, sir, and your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
The Jewish time of Sukkot, or Feast of Tabernacles, is being observed this week. It's a time when Jewish people talk about the 7 species of the Bible. CBN's Scott Ross traveled to Jerusalem for a cooking course using those 7 superfoods of the Bible.
This is the city of David. My wife Nedra and I met a famous Israeli known as the Queen of Kosher, and the kosher Rachel Ray. She is Jamie Geller, mother of 5 and founder of the Kosher Media Network.
How large an area does this encompass?
It's an 11-acre area. This is biblical Jerusalem, the city of David, and you'll notice it's outside of the old city walls, right? So the city of David, Jerusalem, Israel, it brings people together. It does. Much like food. So now I'm going to show you one of my favorite recipes, the 7 superfoods of the Bible and a special salad. How about that?
Great. I brought Nedra along because she's the real cook in the family.
She feeds me. She's a very good cook, but we know nothing about kosher food and kosher cooking.
Kosher refers to biblical and traditional Jewish dietary laws. They prohibit some foods like pork and shellfish and don't allow mixing meat and dairy products in the same meal. But we learned it's tasty all the same.
The way that I cook is quick and kosher, okay? So that means it's easy, anyone can do it, and all I need are people that like to eat. We love to eat. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. And what's special here, forget about kosher, we're doing a recipe inspired by the 7 species, the 7 foods that are superfoods of the Bible and of the land of Israel.
Superfoods?
Yeah.
Will this make me a super person,
It'll make you strong like Popeye, it'll make you healthy, your doctor will be happy, your wife will be happy, you'll eat good.
The 7 species come from the book of Deuteronomy, which says the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey.
Shivat Haminim, which translates to mean the 7 species. So this is the Shivat Haminim salad. Okay, fine. So we're going to start by our wheat that we're going to use is bulgur. So would you mind to help me, Nedra?
Sure, what would you like me to do?
Just put that right in here. And yes, into a hot pot, we're going to put a little bit of oil, just a touch. You make bulgur like you would rice. So you toast it up just a little bit in a hot pot. Now, this is the magic of television, right? We got a finished thing right there.
We did it.
Before we get to toss it all together, we're gonna make our dressing. So you wanna help a little bit, Scott and Nedra? Here, we have olive oil.
Okay, do you want the whole?
Please, put it all in. Okay, this is a little Dijon mustard. That's just for a little flavor, right?
Loves mustard.
Right, okay, fine.
Okay.
So Dijon's good. Now, what we have here is one of the special foods of the lands of Israel, date honey. Dates are one of the sweetest fruits in the world. Tons of fiber, that's what we're talking about, these superfoods. And date honey has been used for thousands of years to sweeten things naturally. A little red wine vinegar, right? Because grapes and wine, you can do it. We got a little bit of, salt and pepper. Okay, now we whisk. Who wants to whisk for me?
We can whisk.
Okay, whisk it up.
Well,
Mr. Ross.
Okay,
gorgeous.
How long do you whisk?
Yeah, it's good. Emulsified, nice, so everything's emulsified. You don't want to see any chunks of Dijon anymore, so that just pulls that together. So now, before we assemble our salad, I just want to show you, this is dried dates.
Okay.
And then you just slice your dates like this.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So that's how we deal with our dates. You can use fresh or dried figs, but I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of that.
Good.
Would you please, Scott, bring over the
beautiful
serving plate. Then we can set our bulgur, Is going to be the base of our salad. So we're going to put on our dates. They're a little sticky. So you'll excuse me, you want to help me?
Okay.
I put in the grapes, the superfood, the grapes, right? They've got lots of antioxidants. When pomegranates are in season, we would use the seeds of a pomegranate. Here we've got our figs, another one, right out of the Bible, onto our beautiful
They look
salad.
like anchovies.
Right, you said that. That's not one of the superfoods, but if you like, we can put it on, you know? So we pour on our dressing on top, right?
Okay.
And it's beautiful, right? It's a nice
Yeah,
salad.
it's really nice.
But now look at it. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Right?
Wow.
They think
The
you're in
power
the
of a
kitchen
little
forever.
green. Yeah, totally. It looks like we worked hard on this.
Yeah.
How long did that take us, guys?
5 minutes.
Okay, would you like to taste?
Of course.
Okay, so let's share this together, right?
Okay.
Shall we? A little for you.
Okay.
A little more, Hardy. They got a spoon over there.
Okay.
A little for you, Miss Nedra.
Thank you, dear.
I want you to get all of the
this is looking
superfoods.
good.
It smells nice,
yeah.
it's fresh. So shall we?
Yes, we shall.
Okay. God bless this and help me.
Amen.
Mmm.
Do you like? It's different, right? Enjoy. I'm so happy that you like. And right now you're eating a superfood salad with foods from the Bible that's delicious and good for you. So like that's like the best combination.
boy, oh boy.
Well, I wanted to give you guys a present. Can I do that?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
I have a new book
Wonderful.
called Joy of Kosher, Fast, Fresh Family Recipes.
I may end up going
So
kosher. You
therefore-
never know.
Well, you know what? You don't have to be kosher
Yeah,
to love
right.
kosher.
I understand
so
that.
in
Right,
theory,
yeah.
this was a kosher salad, but come on, it was
Right.
delicious,
Right.
you know?
It looks beautiful.
And there are lots of wonderful Israeli recipes in here, hummus, falafel, there's a lamb kebab spiced with cinnamon, cumin.
wonderful.
Right.
And so don't be scared it's kosher, don't be scared it's Israel, don't be
Right.
scared. You know, I try Italian recipes, I try Indian recipes,
Right.
let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
get together around food.
Scott Ross, CBN News, Jerusalem.
I love.
For your Friday Faithful, I want to leave you with this thought. The dream that God's placed in your heart may sound crazy to those around you, but it's still a God dream, and it's only crazy until it happens. With that word, I want to encourage you to make today a fabulous Friday, and be sure to have yourself a wonderful weekend. Do it on purpose. That is a wrap for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com at any time. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make it a great day. We'll see you Monday.